In this video, we'll discuss how to convert a sole proprietorship to an LLC. But before we do, what is a limited liability company, or an LLC for short? Well, it's a business entity that you form by filing a document with the Secretary of State. And why are LLCs preferable over a sole proprietorship? Well, the LLC is the most flexible business entity that you can use. And there are several reasons why using an LLC is more preferable than using a sole proprietorship. And the first reason is its limited liability, as the LLC provides for personal liability protection. And this means that when the LLC is sued, the LLC owner's liability is limited to the money that they put into the LLC. And this provides far more liability protection than sole proprietorships. Because if you're a sole proprietor and you get sued, all of your personal assets are on the table in that lawsuit. And the second benefit is the LLC's ownership flexibility. LLCs can be owned by individuals, corporations, and trusts in some situations. LLCs can be a single-member LLC where you only have one owner. They could also be multi-member LLCs, where you have more than one member, or two or more owners of the LLC. The third benefit to LLCs is its management flexibility. An LLC can be member managed, where the ownership and management are the same, or they could be manager managed, where the ownership and the management are different. And the fourth benefit is the tax flexibility that LLCs offer. They could be taxed as C Corp, where you face the double taxation, which is one tax at the entity level and one tax at the individual level. They can be taxed as S Corps, which is where you only have one level of taxation at the individual level. And with the S Corp, you can set a reasonable salary for yourself to minimize those payroll taxes. LLCs can also be taxed as partnerships, where you have a passive business with two or more members. And in that situation, all those businesses' profits and losses would flow onto the members' individual tax returns. And lastly, LLCs can be taxed as disregarded entities, where you have a passive entity that only has one member, and in that case, all the profits and losses would flow onto that member's individual tax returns. Now, with all of that in mind, how do LLCs protect your personal assets? Well, they limit your personal liability in two situations. The first is the inside attack. And this is where you have an LLC and somebody sues the LLC. And in this situation, that claimant can only collect from the business. And with this, your personal assets are off the table in that lawsuit. However, if you're a sole proprietor, then all your personal assets are going to be on the table. Now, the second situation is what we call the outside attack, and that's where somebody sues you personally. And if you're sued personally, then there's some states that offer the charging order protection for LLCs. And this means that if you're sued personally and you lose in court, the winner can only get a charging order on your interest in the LLC. And this charging order of protection is a lien on distributions. And this means that if you make any distributions out of the LLC, then they can collect them. But if you don't make any distributions, then they have to sit there and wait, and they can't collect anything. And if you lose in court, having this charging order can really protect you, because most attorneys don't like to sit around and wait to get paid. So with all that in mind, how do you convert a sole proprietorship to an LLC? Well, you must first file the Articles of Organization with the Secretary of State. And this creates a new business entity. The second is that you must find a professional registered agent. The third is that you must draft an operating agreement. The fourth is to get an EIN number from the IRS. The fifth is to open a new business bank account with that EIN number. And once you have all these things, then you transfer all your business assets from the sole proprietorship to the LLC. And this is usually done with a bill of sale. And once you do that, you're going to need to provide corporate notice to the rest of the world. And this is where you put your LLC's name on contracts and stationery. And when you sign those contracts, you'll sign off as the manager of the LLC instead of signing off in your individual capacity like you would with a sole proprietorship. The next thing you're going to want to do is to inform clients, providers, and vendors that you're conducting business through an LLC instead of a sole proprietorship. And on top of this, you may need to obtain business licenses. And depending on the type of business you're conducting, you may need to get a business license at the state, county, or city level. And when your LLC's been set up for a year, you're going to need to pay your annual filing fees to the Secretary of State when they come due. Now, all of this may sound like a lot, and if you need help with this, we here at Corporate Direct would be happy to help you out. You can schedule a free 15-minute consultation by clicking the link in the description below. Now, once you have your newly formed LLC, you'll be much better off than operating as a sole proprietor. What are the legal and financial implications of converting a sole proprietorship to an LLC? Well, legally, you're a new separate legal entity, separate and apart from you as an individual. And with this, it provides you with that personal liability protection. And this is unlike the sole proprietorship, because if you operate as a sole proprietor and your sole proprietorship is sued, then you're personally liable. And this means that all your personal property is on the table and they can reach those personal assets. In a way, you and your sole proprietorship are like the same legal entity. And this is unlike the LLC because that's not the same legal entity in the eyes of the law. But with the LLC, it provides you with extra personal liability. So what are the financial implications here? Well, when you set up your business bank account, you're going to need to make sure that you keep your personal bank account and your business bank account separate. And you certainly do not want to commingle funds between the two. So when you set up a bank account, you're going to need to conduct business out of that business bank account. And all business debts, business income, and business expenses will be run through that business bank account. And this is beneficial because it could help you build business credit for the future. I also have a new book called The 5 Tricks to Teach Your Kids About Money. You can download the book for free by clicking the link in the description below. If you're looking to start a business, you can schedule a free 15-minute consultation with us at Corporate Direct by also clicking the link in the description below. And as always, please make sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment, and turn on that notification bell. And I should warn you, the contents of this video are not legal advice and no attorney-client relationship has been formed.